Let me just first start with you, Ms. Abha Singh. Ms. Abha Singh, is there a gender prism problem with our Indian laws?
Why are we having this debate? Why? Because of late, there are some cases where men have said that they are facing violence in a relationship, in a marital household. But let me tell you, that is just an exception, not the norm. Why did we get domestic violence laws? Because it was the women who were facing domestic violence at their home space. Why did we get the dowry laws? Will you believe it when I tell you that NCRB figures of 2022 say that 6,400 women have been burnt in their homes and the cause of death in the FIR is kitchen fire. So they have been killed because they did not get dowry. That was the reason that we got 498A of the IPC, which is cruelty. Then we got the Domestic Violence Act, and they definitely are there to protect women who were facing the onslaughts of their marital homes for so long. But now when the courts come and say, as it was in the case of Atul Subhash, let me tell you, the IPC sections now, the new BNS, they are gender neutral. If your wife has beaten you, if she's hurt you with a sharp object, you can always go to the police, lodge an FIR of causing hurt. If she's making a false case of dowry also on you, if she's making a false case of violence, you can file a counter FIR. Perjury, this offense, and so many husbands, we have guided them to come forward and file a case of perjury. Only specific dowry and marriage related laws, there are specific, were made for women because they had been suffering down the ages.
Does that need a change?
No, the dowry laws and the domestic violence will continue, but yes, if there are false cases, then you have the other sections. No, it doesn't need a change because there are enough sections to protect the men. If the women are misusing the laws, if a false FIR is registered, you can move the High Court and get the FIR quashed. If they have made a false case, you can file a counter case of perjury.
Fair to see it from the prism. And Abha Singh, I would want you to come in for the same question. I mean, if you are saying 95% of the society is patriarchal and there is larger imbalance to violence, abuse against women in marriages by the very fabric of our society. Therefore, the manner in which it is implemented often is tilted towards one gender. Would that be a fair way to see it, or inherently is there something wrong with the way our laws are existing is what I'm trying to understand. Abha Singh first.
See, laws are in absolute right perspective. If the implementation is wrong, it's either because the police is corrupt. If a woman has gone with a complaint, it has rushed to lodge an FIR, when Supreme Court has now and then said that without proper inquiry, do not register an FIR. So, if you see in majority of the cases, charge sheet is not filed for years. But in 498A, cruelty cases, police is the fastest to file charge sheet in more than 90% cases, which means they manage to get a lot of money and they use this as a case. So it is police corruption which is tilting the law. Then you come to the courts. Why can't the courts very clearly caution FIR if they feel it is wrong? Why don't they make the police accountable if it is taking money and doing a wrong case? So, and also these things, if there is a little misuse, it's in the cities. Rural women even now do not have the access to the courts. In fact, they are the ones who are facing all the domestic violence, being beaten up by alcoholic husbands, their money being taken away. So it's a urban phenomenon. If some cases where men have been at the receiving end, but there is it is the criminal justice system which is at fault, the manner in which the laws are implemented, but otherwise the laws were made in the real earnest to protect women, to protect family. In fact, recently, Bombay High Court gave a divorce on the ground saying that the wife filing false charges of cruelty was proven, and they said filing false charges against the husband, filing multiple cases against the husband is cruelty, and they gave a divorce to the husband who was wanting divorce. So, cruelty is also being seen from the perspective of a man if he's facing at the hands of his wife.
Abuse or misuse of existing laws is not only that happens with women, it also happens with men. Abha Singh, do you want to come in? In the beginning you said about 100%. Exceptions. You said about how abuse of law, how violence against men in marriage is being seen as an exception, or is rather an exception, you said. But if laws cannot treat those exceptions, if that's what you believe, as with equity, then isn't the law and the society failing?
See, number one, what I said, Article 14 is very clear, equality before law and equal protection of laws. So any man who feels that the law is biased in a particular case can always move the courts, be it High Court or Supreme Court, under the writ. You have a power of the writ. If anywhere you feel a law is not equal, or you, but here if you see, if we are talking of that abuse, then for abuse you have a legal remedy. Go to the court, file a counter case. But if the police is corrupt or the system is slow, like you say, Tariq pe Tariq, it takes a lot of time, then who's to blame? Not the law, but the people who are executing the law. That is important, and this is what I want to say. And if you talk of maintenance, see, if we all know that physically men are more powerful, they have more strength, women are the weaker sex, and that is why domestic violence was brought in to protect women who were facing beating, brutally being abused at home within the four walls of the house. So that is why this law came up. But and it is a civil law. It is not a criminal thing. What people are saying that there is nothing. Domestic violence is a civil law, which, what does it give a woman? In her house, she gets restraining order if she gets a separate room where the husband cannot enter. If the husband is troubling her in a workplace, the court can pass a restraining order saying in her workplace, husband will not come and insult her, humiliate her. Or if the husband is not giving her maintenance, not giving for the children's school fees, then the court under the DV Act can say that this much money will be given to the wife to run the house. So many times it happens that men have extramarital affairs and they don't pay money in the house. Children's fees is not given. So this was brought only to ensure that women get justice at home, the housewives who are at home. But otherwise, if it is relating to divorce and property, then I think the time has come that in India we also have a prenup. So that if a couple is getting married, they sign a prenup agreement that what is mine, I will get, what is yours, you will take. So if that sort of a thing comes in India, all this acrimony which is happening during divorces will automatically come to an end.
System is not perfect. We know, but yeah.
So it equals out. So that means if woman is disadvantaged now and subsequently the man becomes disadvantaged.
It's mutual destruction.
So the saying goes that in a marriage, it is husband and wife, both are affected. You know, no, husband and wife, both are at a loss. They are the sufferers. It's the family that suffers. It is the children that suffer. So perjury, why are you stopping the husband from filing a counter case? If a woman can get a lawyer and fight, and these battles are taking place only in cities, no rural India, no women comes forward to say that I'm facing domestic violence. So in the cities, if because of education and economic empowerment, a wife can engage a lawyer and come to the court, what stops the husband from engaging a lawyer and hitting back in the court? So I think both of them have lawyers, both of them have the law, and it is how agile the other person is in marriage. And let me tell you, in marriage, both suffer, both have problems, but ultimately it is facts. For the court, it is facts, and what I want the changes is that the family court, which takes years, should not take years. It should be maximum 6 hearings, 3 hearings, where matters should be decided. Only when the cases are prolonged, then vested interests come in, and then subsequent false cases are filed from this side or that side. So police should be made accountable. They should not be allowed to file false cases. A senior officer must investigate and see when the charge sheet comes. The charge sheet has to give the details. So when the charge sheet is filed in the court, husbands have full powers to challenge it.
Abha Singh, do you agree with what Rishika is saying?
By default, when a person comes down to...
You know, I've heard her, and let me tell you, if you talk of women politicians in the parliament, 14%. If you talk of in the government, 18%. That means out of 100, it is 80 men who are earning, and women are barely 18 to 19, maximum 20. So, but naturally, it will be the women who will get the maintenance because she gives up her career or does not work. The first condition put in a marriage is that you will leave your job. So, a woman who is educated, who is a doctor, engineer, or whatever, gives up her job to take care of children. And after 10 years, if she comes to the court for divorce, the court is going to look into it and give her a maintenance, and that is why women are the ones who get paid in a breakdown of marriage, because they are the ones who are dependent. Of late, there was a case in Bombay High Court where the husband was paid 30,000 rupees from the wife's income because the husband was unemployed and the wife was getting paid. So let me tell you, as of now, because the Supreme Court judgment, which everybody follows, is Rajneesh versus Neha, which very clearly says that 3 years income tax returns of both husband and wife will be put before the magistrate magistrate court before deciding the quantum of maintenance. So this is the law. So people should know the law if they want fair treatment. So for the husbands also, they can claim, they can ask for the wives' FDs, investments, her income tax returns, and only then, only after hearing both the sides, is a quantum of maintenance decided by the courts.